Yes, ma'am?
I would like to touch on Rich's comment as well. I'm Jamie Brzezinski. I have an adult family home as well.
Okay to video?
Yes, that's fine. I have actually spoken with John several times on the phone. I may be one of the fortunate providers that got a raise, but that's because I was, excuse my terms here, literally getting screwed for the last 2 years of less than $30 a day for 2 full-time residents. I called John and asked, I said, you know, I'm just calling to let you know that I received my contracts. I have a few questions. Give me a call back. It took him 2.5 weeks to return my phone call, for one, which is not okay by my standards. Secondly, when I asked him about it, I said, okay, I understand $35.15 a month raise is not much. My resident does not have high medical needs. I don't complain about that with the transportation. We do use respite though. And I did ask, I said, okay, the $35, where does that cover my respite? You know, I have clients in my house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the most part, where they need 24-hour supervision. And he said, well, it doesn't. And I said, okay, well, what am I supposed to do with this? He said, you can go and find your own respite provider. I said, all right, well, that's fine with me. You know, I can do that. I can take care of it. He used my sister-in-law as an example, and he's like, well, if she wants to do it for $25 a day, that's fine. All you have to do is submit her name and her social security number to me. We will run a background check, and that's it. The next thing out of my mouth was, what about training? They're handling medications. There are incontinence cares. Where does this come in? You know, why should they be being paid $25 a day when they're doing all this work? He said, we do not have to follow the state module. I said, okay, John, that's great. Got to thinking about it, and this is my mother-in-law and my aunts. We all have group homes in Stanley. And we kind of got together and we were chatting about it, and I said, you know, I don't really think that's legal. So I called John back Monday morning and I said, you know, is there any way you can fax me a letter that says I am allowed to choose my own respite provider? And he said, well, can I ask you why? I said, well, I am state licensed and I would like to have something in my Bible, as we all refer to it, to cover my own butt in case state steps in. He instantly changed his story and said, no, I'm sorry. We only have to tell that to the people that we govern, and I completely forgot about your state license. I'm like, you're calling me, you know what code my house is, and you're relaying the incorrect information to me. How many other providers were told this? And he's just like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you.
You're referring to John? Who's John?
John Whitworth. He is the provider relations from Community Health Partnership.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think there's a risk when you start departing from what the state regulations require of licensed homes. And I think part of the risk is that you leave yourself open for, you know, some kind of a citation from the Division of Quality Assurance. But then the other thing, more importantly, is that, you know, as some of these protections that have been put into place begin to erode, you leave people vulnerable to abuse and neglect. And there's questions about how managed care organizations are actually fulfilling their responsibilities in terms of incident investigation, whether incident reports are being completed as they should be. And generally, as people are being pushed into less and less expensive settings without regard to the quality of those settings, like you say, training and some of the other things that are really important to making sure that people get what they need, you know, there's potential for errors that take place.
Well, when I asked John for the writing, the facts, he said we don't even really have this implemented on paper yet. But yet, every single provider in this room received papers saying that this is all starting the 1st of March.
Right.
The respite thing is huge.
Yeah.
I know. I just wanted to say one other thing, and that is, again, it's just like, how can anybody say it's getting cheaper to care for people with significant disabilities? And let's not forget, the CBRF code was changed a couple of years ago. This one part of the state is imposing new requirements that cost money to comply with. There's a brief changeover period for the
CBRF is?
Community-based residential facility. So group home from 5 people on up.
Okay.
So adult family homes are either 1, 2, 3, or 4 people, and then CBRFs are 5 on up.
And they can serve either the frail elderly or people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
So anyway, enough about that. It's very bad timing for people who run CBRFs to be thinking about, we're complying with this, and in a different part of the state is, you know, obviously not valuing that increased regulatory burden because nobody got any increases because of that.